What's up, man?
I'm all right, brother.
All right, we are live. We are live, and I'm coming at you with another episode of Gavin Richard Presents. We are live with Brother Bernard. Is brother on
Um,
this weekend? Hold on a second, Bernard.
yeah, I'm
Oh,
doing
let
fine.
me finish.
Just
Go ahead.
huh?
I was trying to finish I was trying
Oh,
to finish my intro, but go ahead.
I didn't hear you. You had like a little pause there, so I didn't hear you. Sorry.
I
Go ahead,
might
do
be
your
lag.
intro.
I don't know if you're lagging or I am. Looks like uh, my internet's connected. It's fine. Uh,
Go ahead and do your intro.
It's all right, man. We can start. Welcome again to the show.
Okay, yes, sir. Thank you. I'm glad to be back on the show with you.
All right. So, Bernard, a lot is going on this week. Of course, we
Yep.
have the inauguration that's taking place on January 20th. And we know that Washington, D.C., from all reports, has been on lockdown. I believe a curfew from the Capitol riots that occurred on not this past Wednesday, but the week before, actually had sent DC into a curfew up to that day. I believe is from 6 a.m. to 6 p.m. if I'm not mistaken. Muriel Bowser had said that. The National Guard, we know, has been deployed to that area in regards to the inauguration of Joe of the United States. And I believe that this is going to be I don't know if it's a virtual event, but I know that the rehearsal happened to be canceled uh, a couple of days ago. There was an announcement of that. So what do you make of all of this that's taking place in our country?
Well, I was looking at a video earlier, and the guy actually made a point. Um, that he said that when they got when they wanted to give Barack Obama out of office, they were going to try to do a coup, but they got Donald Trump to run the military when they got Trump to run. But with the rehearsal and stuff, this is weird. I mean, to me, you gotta look like an occupy zone. I mean, I'm hearing reports of Dr. Carmen Johnson, who actually I just finished doing a show with in Lauren, and shout out to Dr. Johnson for her wonderful efforts. As a matter of fact, you got to have her on your show. She asked me about that again. But 22,000 troops to fortify the White House. I think somebody go down, man, but not there. But I'm just talking about something's going down when you got that many troops. You got more troops here than everywhere. So this is like I always say about Hurricane Katrina was like a martial law dry run in New Orleans. This look like a martial law dry run going on in D.C. That's what it looks like to me. I mean,
Well, I certainly think right now, with everything going on in this country, it certainly appears that way when you look at it. A lot of just the
and we
way
got
that
them
things
here.
have gone on before the rehearse, even before this election, when the pandemic started, a lot of people feared martial law would be coming. Uh, to the U.S. And when cities were closed and things were on lockdown, everybody seemed to believe. A lot of people believe that it was the end. Things are certainly getting that bad. Uh, I personally think that I don't believe that this country has healed itself, and certainly we are still suffering from the wounds, of course, that were implanted through racism and slavery, but things that have escalated this past year. Even though we're in 2021, it looks like 2020 continued. 2020 part
Well,
two so far.
well, I want to point out a few facts here because I know we say the Capitol Hill riots, but I call it the Capitol Hill show test. Okay. I call it the show test. What you saw what was to me nothing but an illusion. Act like you didn't see. Well, you can act like you saw it, but you better know it was a stage nonsense. You know, a lot of people saying, "Oh, we couldn't have did that." Well, I mean, the Black Panthers did it, and it was serious. This was fake. It was planned, and it was coordinated. I wouldn't worry about what happened in the Capitol. I'd be worried about more so what happened after the Capitol. It's a book a friend of mine reading about terrorism. And they always say, never worry about what happens. Worry about the result of what they're going to do after it happens, like censorship or new Patriot Act or something like that. 9/11 Patriot Act
Well,
come. You know.
well, it was Rahm Emanuel who coined the term "never let a good crisis go to waste," if I'm not mistaken. He stated that when he was in Barack Obama's cabinet, and I think that was reiterated from Karl Rove, who was also in George W. Bush's cabinet.
Mm-hmm.
Never let a good crisis, because I remember it was. I'm sorry, that wasn't called. That was I said Rahm Emanuel. Yes, he says you never want a serious crisis to go to waste, but uh, Winston Churchill was the one who said never let a good crisis go to waste during World War II, and well, it's attributed to him. And Emmanuel says you never want a serious crisis to go to waste. And when I mean things that you think you could not do before, uh, I know for a fact when we talk about 9/11, when we talk about uh, the Patriot Act, as you mentioned, that further stripped United States citizens of their constitutional rights vis-a-vis the Fourth Amendment, which protects you from unreasonable searches and seizures. You don't have that luxury anymore, especially when you're flying on airplanes, when you're going in court buildings, and so forth. You're subjected to all of these. They always try to look at what's the best measure for the family and for the community and for citizens and so forth. But we can never we have to always put the rights of the citizens first and foremost, because if there are no rights, if there is no Bill of Rights, then we are totally naked, and we're also totally fucked at that point. Not,
Well,
you get
hey, look.
fucked and naked.
Well, let me say something about that. You
Well,
know, that's one thing I hate going on a damn plane because you almost got a goddamn stripped down to your naked almost. Shit.
well,
Not
I mean,
literally, but you got to.
what I mean by that is that you're losing. I remember when Sandy Hook and the Aurora, Colorado shooting that took place in the theater happened, and they were talking about more gun control. And Obama actually got on the TV talking about banning AR-15s and assault weapons. He said that out of his mouth. Now he has not Trump in terms of the Second Amendment, because there were things that Trump had done that hurt with the ATF that actually hindered the Second Amendment. But his plan was not as radical as what I'm seeing with the incoming president elect Joe Biden, and I can't stress that enough. What's up, Derek? I'm here with Brother Bernard. I can't stress that enough, and you can just go look at his website. If you look at, I've seen pictures. Let me see if I can pull this picture up. But there were lines of people. This came from Tariq Nasheed's Twitter page. I saw this on yesterday. There were lines of people that were actually standing in line for hours in a long line at Academy Sports and Outdoors. Let me hold on. Let me show you. And we're gonna stick on the Capitol in a second, but I also want to talk about the. I think Biden spoke and he said, explain what his first 100 days are going to look like. His first day, we've already talked about it, but for those who don't know, I want to stay on it. I'm trying to find that picture from Academy, and I don't know if he took it down or not. Okay, here it is. Derek says, y'all support the Cash App, please. GavinRichardEsq. And this is Brother Nasheed's picture. Okay, that's outside in Memphis.
Oh, damn.
That's the line.
Woo!
Right now, ammunition is very hard to find. It's hella expensive. Uh, Guns are hard to find as well. So if you're trying to get a firearm, good luck. You can try and order things online, but still you got to go through an FFL dealer in order to get things. And I believe this thing that happened with the riots has made people panic, but I also think could this have something to do with Biden's agenda, about eventually banning AR-15s and ammunition. Remember, ammunition has been on a shortage right already. It's been hard to find in stores. You have to go on select days. So the pandemic made that worse. So the demand is higher than the supply, which means the prices go up. And so people are having ways to find weapons, find guns. They're trying online, but they're hard to come by. So, I mean, if you can buy one, buy the best one you can. But you see, when it's war, when push comes to shove, they're not in store buying Jordans at Academy for that. I can tell you right off the bat, 95% of them in that line or better, they're not there for Jordans. They're not there for outdoor wear. They're out there for hunting. They are out there for self defense. They're out there to buy ammunition. That's the main reason why they're out there. And
Well,
you got to
look.
stay ready.
Well, listen. You know what's
Yeah.
good about that you're saying, Gavin, right? They
Uh
getting
huh.
they getting ready. They getting ready for war. You know, in all honesty, even if they really did storm the Capitol and it wasn't a show, they actually had the right to do what they did. Actually, it's in the Constitution or Bill of Rights. If you feel that your government is becoming tyrannical, you do have the right to overthrow it. That is actually a true statement. So,
Well,
hey,
that actually came from I believe it was Thomas Jefferson or one of the quote unquote founding fathers who said to overthrow the government when the government ain't working. And he was
yep.
talking, not that I'm advocating that. I want to be clear because I have to say that's for legal purposes, violence of any kind. But I do know the quote that you're referring to. When the government is bad, I mean, people overthrow it. They kicked the British out in the American Revolution. Taxation without representation. They got frustrated with that. They were upset with an oppressive king, and that's how America was created.
Well, I will say this to you, brother. That yeah, and that's why I always say, when you're talking about a politician, look at this guy website. Don't listen to what he say. Watch what he does and watch what's on his website. If you
Mm-hmm.
go, I would say if you go back to even we'll just go back with Trump or Obama, anybody. Matter of fact, you go through Obama's executive orders, you can tell a lot of them executive orders. You can go probably check out every executive order Obama had, and you'll find out about a good 25% of them had to do something with LGBTQ, probably more. I'm just giving you, just starting off with, some good stuff there. So when he gets in the office, he's fulfilling out the agenda that's already planned for him to do. Um, that's why, they weren't gonna let him close down Guantanamo Bay. But I will say that we've had a lot of stuff that happened at that Capitol building, including what I told you. BLM and Antifa were there, and the guy was on CNN with Anderson Cooper, and then he got arrested. He was from Utah. Now I told you I don't know too many black people live in Utah. But this guy came over from Utah to come to the White House. He has on a bullhorn saying we're gonna burn the White House down. And he was on an interview with the white girl. Her name was Jane Sacker. He is from Insurgents USA. Yep, that's me. Yep, Virginia man faked inaugural credentials. Drove to D.C. with loaded gun and 500 rounds. Yes, sir.
That's not you who did that.
No. I'm saying that's in a Virginia guy. That's
That's
in Virginia.
Wesley
I think I
Montefiore.
sent you. Yeah.
Yeah,
Yep.
Virginia man faked inaugural credentials. So yeah, man, they got a lot of stuff going on, and I think there are certainly concerns about safety, especially for Biden. But I personally think this was well, I mean, more and more I look at it, I think that this was set up. Just those people had earpieces in their ears, and everything that I'm listening to, they're talking about how off-duty police were present within the crowds. Hell, I mean, they opened the gate. They opened the gates when all of this stuff was going on. So I mean, it don't surprise me that this stuff is happening.
Well, you had a show with Judge the other night, and it's one thing that he made a profound point. They really, to tell you the truth, they would only most of them would only get trespassing charges and so forth and so on because of the simple fact of, I mean, it's not illegal to be on the Capitol. You're just not supposed to be there when Congress is in session. That's all.
Right.
But
Right.
speaking of that, go ahead.
Well, I have been to. Yeah. Let me finish. I have been to the Capitol before, and I've been there when Congress. We spoke with some congressional leaders. This was after Katrina, and I mean, my goodness, as many times we had to be frisked to go inside there. How long we were waiting in line to get in. It was a group of us. I remember that, and its security is always tight. So they didn't have a congressional session or anything like that, but Congress voting on anything. But I mean, they were holding hearings. My goodness, I remember when Barack Obama actually spoke for with the Acorn group. This was Acorn that did this, and I know Acorn has their issues. They had been investigated for some stuff. I was in my I was 20 years old when when I went up there. It was my birthday actually, and I've always been busy fighting and doing different stuff, man. I'm kind of tired of it, but nevertheless, I remember stuff like that, and security is always tight. So for it to end up like the way it did, where people are actually on the Senate and Congressional Senate floor and the congressional floor, and they're hanging from rafters, and you got one black police officer that's walking them through with the baton, and he never plays for that, never using his gun. But I imagine if he had used his gun, he might have faked. They probably would have arrested him on some shit. They would have found a way to link it. It all seemed rigged. You know,
Well, let me say something to you.
a part
You
of
know,
it's. I mean, a good part. At least, at least I'll say this: they had. If it when I say rigged, they had help getting inside there.
let me say something to you, bro. There's a group called Shut Down DC. And they had actually planned to do this. Actually, as a matter of fact, Antifa had posted on their Twitter page that they were gonna come and do this. It's kind of funny that these idiots. Well, they're not even idiots. They just don't think people are gonna look, but people go look and find stuff anyway, right? And the guy that was on CNN was a
Yeah,
guy. He was with a group called Insurgents USA. If you look up Insurgents USA, you can find that guy. But his name was John Sullivan. Um, Another thing which got me, which I kind of figured it out, was that okay, what are the circumstances of them coming while they counting the votes? Because what really was supposed to happen was Mike Pence was supposed to send it back to the states for the states to do a hearing on cases of election fraud. But after that, there's another thing that got me. If you had all that disturbances, how did you come back and do that session that night? That to tell you something else is rigged. Because if you had all that, somebody died in there, you would have canceled session for the day. But they didn't do that. So that was another thing. That might have been a throw off. Matter of fact, they broke the constitutional rights of every American in this country after that last 2 days. They certified a fraudulent election, and then the next day they started taking down everybody's platform and taking down 70,000 followers and 51 billion off Twitter. So they actually been going. They're in overdrive. They're following this book right here, the Communist Manifesto. That's what they're following. They're taking everything they do, and it's kind of got some stuff to the Nazis too, the Third Reich and all that. So they're in overdrive right now.
yeah. Well, speaking of censorship, a lot of people don't notice, but it was announced on yesterday that Facebook and Instagram had reinstated Donald Trump's platforms. Twitter has still suspended him, and and interesting enough, Trump has been silent on those. Nothing's been, he hasn't said anything and so forth. But they reinstated him, and that has a lot to do with the fact that a lot of people protested those social media platforms and the market value, the investors pulling their stock in them, the market value and all of those platforms has dropped steadily. I mean, Twitter's market value dropped to 51, was it 51 billion combined
Yeah,
with
70
Facebook?
billion at the end of the week.
51 billion in 1 week. Yeah, that is bad.
Yeah, and they're going over to Telegram. Then Paula's back online now. They got back online finally. But they got kicked off. But Google and Apple them
So
were
Paula is
trying to get
back.
them. Yeah, it came back today. Telegram, the Telegram is another fast moving app. They want to shut that down. But like I'm trying to tell you, you shut me down here, somebody might start using a cooking app. You don't know how people are going to start using communication. So communication is the way of life. Um,
Yeah. Well, I mean, there are antitrust laws that prohibit uh, that protect consumers. And so when you have a situation like Facebook where they're being sued for violating, uh, I believe, privacy rights, there are about 46 different states. There have been issues about their monopolization on social media platforms. I mean, Facebook owns Instagram. I think they also purchased the WhatsApp as well. Uh, I look at that they're censoring freedom of speech. They're essentially going to lose more and more customers. And I see it with I saw it with MySpace. Like when Sean was on, he talked about MySpace was when they shut down as a result. And then, of course, Tumblr, they went through the same issues. And then remember also the Vine, they shut down. They didn't last long. Vine was
yeah,
only up for, I think,
I
three
never really,
years, if I'm not mistaken.
I never really realized what happened to MySpace. But I'm glad you brought it to
It
my
just fell
attention.
out. Like Facebook came back. Facebook started to pop off, and people started to flock more and more there.
Yeah, but now they want to. They trying to find out where everybody going. Um, it's another app called Signal. A guy was a friend of mine telling me about. But we just got to understand how. But I would say this what you're showing right here, brother, is a big business move, and I'm gonna tell you why. They said, okay, Donald Trump had 88.3 million followers on Twitter.
Hmm.
Okay, you get rid of one guy, you abandon his following. Now, what do? We don't have to follow you. We just go to Gab or Rumble, BitChute, whatever, Parlor. You know, go to show you, man. Hey, there's always other options. You might try to get a monopoly, but somebody else gonna come up with another idea. You look like that, right?
Yeah, most definitely. I mean, people are already doing it now with, there's things I've heard of. I know Dr. Boyce does Blag Enough. There's Patreon, of course. I have a Patreon account, GBoot2786. You guys can subscribe to that. Uh, for $5 a month if you want to see me continue videos. I mean, we have podcasts like Anchor. I don't think Anchor is on the censorship thing as of now that we know of. But it's just been, yeah, they certainly have exposed themselves with their ideologies and their agenda and platform. They've basically showed their hand. This is what they want to do. Just like with these cartoons, like we were talking about that cartoon in Denmark, John Dillerman. I was looking into that. That's the one Judge brought up about the character whose penis is basically used as a prop. I
That's
those, huh? Yeah, it's messed up.
sick shit.
It
But
is, but yeah, it is. And I mean, but there are people that like it. There are people that are praising it. He
you
uses it
know,
as a prehensile. That's
I'll say something, Gavin. Here, that's
basically
when
an
people
appendage. Yeah.
realize what's important. Just like you showed me all them people going to the gun shop, right? We might be
Right.
going to buy some goddamn Jordans, man. I mean, you got priorities. It's priorities, man. Oh, by the way, bring up that nonsense spending bill you're talking about.
What nonsense spending bill? You talking about the
That 1.9 corporate waxing thing that Biden's talking about.
are we
It's a
talking about
it's
the
a it's
COVID relief bill?
yeah, that's a sock job right there. That actually is a disgrace. I hate to tell you, that's a disgrace for real and slap in the
Well,
face to everybody.
we had talked about that before. You're talking about the spending bill that they had produced.
Yes.
Yeah, well, I mean, I don't think a new bill had been signed. I know that uh, the $600 stimulus checks have already been distributed. But of course, what was in that. I mean, I did that live stream with Judge. We're talking about 49. We're talking about billions of dollars going to different countries. And for gender, was it for gender?
Gender diversity in Pakistan.
Diversity, the money that went to the Smithsonian, even though the Smithsonian is forced to close,
Yep.
you know, $40 million has gone to the Smithsonian, and that's in Washington D.C. They're forced to close. Same thing with who else? Monies that's supposed to go to the Kennedy Center, they're closed. I mean, just ridiculous spending. And we allow this to go on over and over again. I do want to, so to couple that spending bill also with what was announced today about Biden. Let's get back to him about his plan with immigration. And also, uh, I had retweeted this on my Twitter account. I want everybody to see this because this set me off. But there's a reason why, ladies and gentlemen, your Congress has an approval rating about the size of a shoe, a baby's shoe size at that. And I don't mean to insult babies and toddlers, but this was, I looked this up. Jamal Bowman is a representative from New York. And this was on his Twitter account. And this is coupled with Biden. Biden, of course, has stated in his first 100 days, his first day is to grant amnesty to illegal immigrants through Congress. And of course, they have the congressional numbers to do that. Remember how Biden talked ugly to the members of, to that, to black, and that's a stretch, but to those black so called civil rights leaders and told them how
Mm-hmm.
the Hispanics are going to be the majority and I'm not going to do anything in the Constitution. This is what Jamal Bowman, put out. Hell yes, I'm so fired up about this. Let's get citizenship to our undocumented families so we can reach our full potential as a nation and build the multiracial democracy we are meant to be. Our power is undeniable. And even our beloved Judge Joe went at him, says, son, open your eyes. This is not what your people need. It is bad for them. Sometimes it's not a question of whether someone's a fool, but how big a fool can a fool be? He even says it's Disney World, Fantasyland. So,
Wow.
but this is the stuff that go. This is the shit that's going on.
And Jamal Bowman tweeted that.
Yes, he was retweeting Biden's uh, immigration agenda, which would include a path for citizenship for 11 million undocumented immigrants. And the problem with that,
Mm.
ladies and gentlemen, is that if you give undocumented immigrants citizenship, undocumented, and these people are already getting jobs that African Americans don't have, then you are further pushing the black community into what even Morgan Freeman called in Lean on Me, by the way he portrayed the late great Joe Clark, a permanent underclass. Not to mention also Kamala Harris is planning to bring over 1 million Indian immigrants with H-1B visas and offer them scholarships and other opportunities, grants, nothing for black people. And yet we are fooled because there are a few blacks in Biden's cabinet, or that Kamala is an AKA, and she has pearls and she's real eloquent. Which we we focus on, like you said, the dumb shit.
Yeah. I mean, well,
We
let me say
focus
something else.
on
Let's say something. Let's talk about that. First of all, number one, I did a show with Kulik the other night, and we had a wonderful sister from Boise, Idaho, came in, and she was very concerned. But we also talked about that really, to tell you the truth, as a black woman, you need to stop being a sucker, because you are being set up as cannon fodder, just like Black Lives Matter sets a lot of black people up for cannon fodder in the streets. Joe Biden told you straight out of his mouth that we had the election rigged anyway. On October 24th, he said we have created the greatest voter fraud organization in history of American politics. He also admitted they used it back for Obama too, as well. So that also go to tell you that, hey, Obama didn't really win his election either. But nonetheless, you do not make yourself a soft target for an agenda like this. So when you go out there in the street saying, "Oh, we got no," you didn't get anything. They told you they already had the system rigged. Don't make yourself a target for these sorry sock puppet house Negroes. And that, Gavin, you don't use the word leader. They ain't nothing but puppets. You know, like, who pulling the string? The Democratic Party pulling their strings. That's why when I was on the show really with Dr. Carmen Johnson, and the guy called in from Texas. Come on, man. They talking about the NAACP. Matter of fact, a lady called him from Texas too. NAACP don't want to do nothing. They control, man. Gavin, is us. I mean, you call us leaders, but it's us. It ain't them. It's us. They are useless. Like this guy Jesse Jackson telling you, "Oh, come on, take the vaccine." No, Jesse Jackson, I'm not taking the vaccine. I put out an article last night. 55 people have died from it. Come on, people. Like, wake up, smell the coffee. Stop letting these civil rights leaders play you, just like that sucker right there on his dumb crap. And then them Negroes didn't even say a damn thing on the damn video. The hell with them. I'll shout, you sitting there and let him do that?
no, they
Didn't
say
no
shit.
response?
Uh,
Man,
well,
you
let me
got
ask you
punk,
something.
man.
Why do you think they keep getting reelected? Like Maxine Waters, or like the Raphael Warnock, although this was his first election, but there were questions about him. And even the other guy, Osinoff, like they just voted Democrat. Why would they keep voting for the same people? Maxine Waters gets reelected, Jim Clyburn, and Clyburn is talking about using "Lift Every Voice" and "Sing" as the new national anthem. I think that's a flat out insult. Like that's going to make everything better. It just shows um, how out of touch old Negroes are.
You know something? I was listening to a show one time called, I think it was on YouTube, it was called Conservative Patriot, and the guy actually made a point that a lot of these people are not getting elected. A lot of them don't campaign. You know, they already know that, hey, look, I got Wall Street dollars and corporations backing me. If I feel that I need to get the election, I can get these people to rig elections for me. Because that's what Judge was telling Andrew Stanton King the other day. You might have won your election, but you don't know, because you don't got the woman who was backing, who took John Lewis' place, had Planned Parenthood organizations. You got to understand, a lot of these people are also organizations. So the organization can probably cheat to get their candidate, because Lori Lightfoot in Chicago they only had a 30% turnout, and she won.
I think she's gonna get voted. I would say I think she's gonna get voted out, but I doubt it because they reelected Rahm Emanuel after the Farm McDonald shooting too.
Yeah, but if you look at that Georgia election, and this made sense, and I saw them flipping the numbers on the screen. I saw the guy lose 20,000 votes with my own eyes, so they rigged that one too. But I will say this though, that they only rigged these elections in our districts, and why did they do that? Because they know that we are what you call cannon bait, and we're actually the boomer class is probably looking at it. Oh yeah, no, that civil rights nonsense, that's over. It's done. Look, Gavin, sometimes you gotta say this stuff is not working. Gavin, if you put on your if you realize that you working on a project all day, right? You're
Yeah,
a lawyer, and you realize you're not gonna win your case with this strategy, you're not gonna go back to the same case, right?
right.
Well, hey, look, we don't. A lot of us are not even voting in these elections because they had to do a runoff in Georgia, so they didn't even have enough people to come out to vote the first time. So, I mean, it's kind of obvious that they're actually putting these people in these positions. I mean, Al Green, Maxine Waters, you name it. As a matter of fact, Maxine Waters probably got more illegal immigrants voting her than anybody because, shoot, half of Skid Row is homeless people anyway. Shit.
Right.
So it just, I mean, it's nonsense. Um, but we just have to, we got to understand that we're getting played, but we're getting screwed now. Like I was saying, I don't know about people with this $600 stimulus check. I hear guys down here talking about, oh, let's go get a PS5 and shit. Man, fuck that damn PS5. You better get some food, water, and you better be ready if some stuff go down. Damn worry about no damn game system right now. Shit.
You gotta buy some ammo and weapons if you can too.
Yeah, man. I mean, it's just
Better be safe than sorry. Be prepared.
and yeah,
So,
just
so Bernard, just to clarify, do you feel like you, number one, you feel like we will be pushed further into underclass, and do you think there's a way out of it?
I think it's a way out of for certain
That's two
people
separate.
like us. Hmm?
Talking about I'm talking about foundational Black Americans. You think that we're going to be pushed into an underclass under Joe Biden further, or I should say, further
I
into an
think
underclass?
I think a lot of us already been in underclass and don't know it, but I think that people like me and you, we could survive the abyss, but it's a lot of people that just be left behind because first of all, you in an underclass and you don't even recognize it. You don't see what's going on there. The writing's on the wall, baby. I feel sorry for you. And you just gonna have to learn the hard way. I mean, me, Gavin, I mean, Judge, we've been on these videos for years. Or you know, and maybe months, years. Some people have been talking about this stuff for years. I already know what's going down. People are talking about New World Order. Everything is your job. Look, sometime Brother Ron heard Real BTFB, shout out to him. Some people you are just not gonna be able to save. And you just gotta live with it and be fine with it, brother. Because I mean the information's out there. The same information you get, like I said, you know, I know you were watching the game earlier, whatever, but at least you have a mind to think that hey, look, it's a game within the game. We're stuck in the matrix. We need to get out of it. If you remember the sign, the it was a scene in the movie The Matrix, and Neo asked the Oracle, "Who is Agent Smith?" Agent Smith is you in the opposite. If you get what I'm saying. So you gotta realize you're stuck in the matrix, man. Get out the damn matrix. Get your head out the sand or whatever. I mean, I don't know what is wrong with these people. I mean, you know, right? I mean, if you're saying that Al, you're Jesse Jackson too, but if Al Sharpton is your civil rights leader in 20, Al Sharpton do not speak for me. If Al Sharpton, the guy you listen to get your information, you're in a bad spot. I'm looking at it like this: they elevate people who don't need to be elevated. But me and you, with all due respect, I love to be doing this, but I like being underground, but we shouldn't be underground. We should be the ones celebrating. They should be daggone banished to the other side of the earth. That's how I look at it.
Well, I certainly. Well, let me say this too. I certainly see I have seen the writing on the wall for the most part. Uh, with what's been going on in the last few years, and people got to wake up. And really, we're at the point we've already gone over the cliff, and we're about to hit rock bottom. We're just tumbling right now on the side of the cliff, the mountain. We're just
Well,
tumbling on the side of it, and we haven't hit flat yet, but we're getting there. Because
well,
I'm, because I, because I'm, people keep repeating the same mistakes over and over again, and they don't learn, and that's a tragedy. Uh, because we're not prepared, because we keep allowing the same things over and over again, and other people are passing us. How is it that we were the number one at one point after slavery? Blacks outnumbered whites. We were the majority, and after slavery, they came up with plans like Planned Parenthood with Margaret Sanger, the Negro Project. They wanted to lower the population numbers. We're talking about the government, of course, programs like COINTELPRO and others that were engineered, especially by the FBI. And of course, we're talking about Martin Luther King Day. We know that one of their main goals was to neutralize Dr. King, which they did, and other Black leaders like Malcolm X and Fred Hampton. And of course, even this guy, today is Muhammad Ali's
birthday.
79th birthday, the greatest of all time. He would have been 79 had he lived. But may he rest in power, rest in peace, champ, Muhammad Ali. And funny you mentioned Jesse Jackson because Martin Luther King Day is tomorrow, and I think about Dr. King's assassination as well. Uh, but I, but I won't get into that with Jesse, but I know Judge has already broke down what happened, and he has defended Mr. Jackson because you brought that up with regards to Jesse doing that video about getting the vaccine. But I they do a lot of this pandering, and I saw Brother Boyce Watkins. I was listening to a podcast that he did today, and he talked about remember when Kamala Harris was running with Joe Biden, and she went on some of these morning shows. One show she went on was Ricky Smiley's morning show. I don't know if you're familiar with Ricky Smiley, but he took
Yeah.
over for Tom Joyner. So it's an entertainment show. But I mean, brother, he is actually a stand-up guy, I believe. But he did something stupid, that I didn't agree with, where he had Kamala Harris come on and made her sing Atomic Dog. And when she sung that, he went and he said, "Oh, she's got my vote. Oh yeah, she's saying Atomic Dog, Kamala Harris." Atomic Dog is the theme song for the Omega Sci-Fi. Uh, and of course, Kamala is an AKA. So I'm listening to this and I'm like, nigga, are you fucking ignorant? I, I know he's a comedian, he's trying to be funny, but is this really like that's the only thing it takes for somebody? This is just my thoughts, but brother, is this the only thing you think of somebody when you're voting? You're looking at somebody supposedly who's going to be in charge of the executive office of the United States, making decisions that could affect you, your children, your grandchildren, and all she's got to do is sing Atomic Dog, and that's why you vote for her. And it's not just, you can't even blame when you see Kamala Harris pandering like she did with that Kwanzaa video. Like she celebrated Kwanzaa as a child with her Hindu Brahmin parents, mother and grandmother. Okay. But I see that and I listen to some of these voters. They can't even tell you why they voted. What reason? It was just, I want to make a change. What change? They can't give you specifics.
Well, let me say something to you, bro. All jokes aside, if you read that plan, that website that they got, it ain't a damn thing in there that you should be voting for. You got to be almost halfway stupid to do it. Everything in there is basically bad. I mean, even the money. Now, this is the thing. Okay, now I want to say something that Yana Presley said. Because really, I need to go in on the squad. AOC, all of them, they need to be really dealt with.
And
They get
AOC is going to be the next. They want AOC to be uh, the next Speaker of the House.
wow.
That's
Okay.
what it's being set up for. Because think about this: if something happens to Joe Biden in the White House by order of the 25th Amendment, Nancy Pelosi will become Speaker of the House. I'm sorry, Speaker of the House will become Vice President, and Kamala Harris will be President.
Okay. Now, let me say this to you about not AOC. Yeah, I'll get to her in a minute, but I want to get to Ayanna Pressley. She said canceling student loan debt would end systematic racism. I'm like, no, because the majority of people that would be benefited by that would be white folks. I just told you earlier, Lauren just told me that daggone virtual learning down here in Virginia, 25% of the students haven't logged on to one session of virtual learning.
Well,
So
AOC, I mean, she's a nincompoop. She's an idiot. I mean, she tries to. When we talked about reparations and tangibles, I'll never forget when she said something like, "Well, who is black? What is black? Because anybody who's even Hispanics can be black, and I'm like, really, Heifer? Because you seem to be black by convenience when it's convenient for you.
isn't Kamala
I
Harris
am a
black by
black,
convenience?
huh?
Isn't Kamala Harris black by convenience?
I mean, Lord knows I can't say that to some of these Negroes on Twitter. I mean, I have friends mad at me when I went out and said I thought it was bad that they compared her with Rosa Parks and Ruby Bridges.
Hey man,
I give a
they
shit
got,
if they mad. I mean,
well, I'm glad that I don't.
you know what it's about? It's about them happy about getting a pat on the head from massa.
Yep.
Because they're not about giving real tangibles and real uh making real change for black people, for black men in particular. If you up there clapping and applauding Kamala Harris just because she's an AKA, then that's part of the problem. Like we have voter suppression, Bernard, and black people. That is a problem, but we also have voter manipulation. And that's even worse.
Well, I want to say something to you.
Especially our
You
elders,
know,
they are so caught up in this symbolic bullshit. I don't understand it. I mean, I
Lauren.
understand it, but at some point, don't you get tired when you keep going back to your place and you see the same blighted property over and over and over again, yet you keep putting the same leaders in who make no resolutions? What economic development do you have? Let's think about this. Every town I know across America, and I haven't been across America, but I know there's a ghetto in each major city. Who does that? Why is that? Who
Let me give you an
determines
example.
that?
You know what? And like I said, Lauren was on the podcast with me. No, she talked to me about it one day, and she said that if you don't check the policies of the candidate, then you shouldn't be voting. She said a lot of black people should not even be voting in elections if they haven't checked the policies of the candidate. If they know nothing about politics, they don't need to vote because they actually make bad decisions for the rest of us.
Yeah.
So that's just
It's like George Carlin, who's one of the greatest comedians of all time, bad white boy, when he got on the stand up stage. He used to say he didn't vote. He says, I don't vote because the public sucks. Fuck hope. That was his words. And he said, on the other hand, I didn't put these people in office because you voted for them. If you vote for them, they always say you vote. If you don't vote, you can't complain. But that's idiotic because in that logic, you're the ones who choose those people. So if the politician does bad, that is your responsibility. That's your fault. On the other hand, I can say I slept home, I stayed home and slept it off. And I think that that's really what says a lot. I'm not going to say we can't. I don't believe in voting per se, but I certainly don't believe in just voting out of fear. I don't believe in voting out of symbolism. I don't believe in voting out of emotions and anger. Like a lot of people that voted for Biden, I can tell you most of them don't even know why they picked him, except they just didn't want Trump. That was
Mm,
their logic.
well, let's say something about that. Now, I would say one thing to you listeners. Everybody, like I said, I want to make this clear one more time. That's why I said you are going to have some unrest in this country. Okay, it might be in a town near you. It might be in New Orleans. If you ain't ready to get down, look after
Virginia.
20th. Do not be stuck out here with no ammo. I am letting you know that right now. You might need to carry one in your backpack, one in your sock, and one in your waistband if you got that minute. But yeah, because you about to see some things. I said what you saw on the Capitol, that's just a snack. This thing about to get real turned up. And this is about a bunch of white boys trying to save the republic. They know that you're trying to bring communists to the U.S. As a matter of fact, China has got a big influence, and the DNI report also actually stated that Chinese infiltrating this election. Now, one other thing. So Donald Trump released the files of Obamagate and spying on his campaign the other
Plus
day.
JFK. He's released some of those files.
What files again?
I believe he released some files on the Kennedy assassination.
Kennedy assassination. He released those files, but he released one
I
file that
say,
I was reading through. Yep. And I'm gonna give him credit for this one. There was a file in there about UFOs, right? And it made me feel good because I've been telling people for a long time UFOs are real. I mean, they've been seeing UFOs for a long time. They've been saying they've seen like 700 UFOs since 1970. So, hey man, I know people talk about Star Wars. No, buddy, if you see it in the movie, they trying to get. You had one movie where they were talking about cell phone. Now where everybody got a cell phone. Hey man, the wildest dreams do come true, man. Just bringing it up there. But
yeah. Well, so yeah, so he released files on UFOs. Bernard, I don't know what happened. It seems
yeah,
like we,
that was just something that just to think. Good show, and Gavin has a lot of good games on. The one that was it? Is it Nicole Lewis? I might be wrong.
yeah, I've been on her
Um,
show before.
but yeah,
Bernard, your mic is not connected.
yeah, I'm back. Yeah, I don't know what they have.
I
I don't know.
can't hear you.
Can you hear me?
Yeah, I can hear you now.
Yeah. So I was saying, speaking of Nicole, what's the update on the Cosby trial?
As of now, the case is still pending an appeal. There was an order to release some emails from the prosecutor's office in regards to reported talks about the Cosby prosecution, and they filed an affidavit stating that it quote it would be too burdensome if they released those. I'm referring to Kevin Steele and his office as district attorney. So you have more cover up, more corruption of this Montgomery County office, this Montgomery County district attorney, uh, and those officials there. As of now, Bill Cosby's still sitting in jail. It's been almost 3 years, essentially, since he's been arrested. Uh, says
Yep.
this is why Trump created the Space Force. You know, I I've heard reports too as a kid. I used to be into looking up UFOs and aliens and stuff like that. You know, I had an uncle in the Air Force who purportedly crash. He worked in the Air Force, and purportedly there was a crash and of our sighting of a UFO and crash, and they brought whatever it was, into that building. I don't know what it was, and he doesn't know exactly what it was that they had. But you know, I've heard. I mean, I've heard of. I believe. I don't know about that, but I mean, I know there's such things as demons, and I believe there's angels. I've seen stuff like that, but I mean, it's interesting. We haven't explored all of outer space and so forth, but Space Force, it may be actually one of the best things that Trump did, because one idea that I have with Space Force too is that you can monitor asteroids, any meteorites or things that will be coming towards Earth, and can give advance notice. That might be a big purpose for it.
Well, you are so right, Gavin. And like I said, I do appreciate your show.
I
Um,
appreciate you coming on, man.
yeah, I want to say one thing though. Yeah, and, like I said, yeah, she asked me about you. Dr. Johnson always asks me about you. I think she said you got a good show, so make sure try to get her on when you get a chance. Maybe see what's going on.
Sure. But
Oh,
James Earl Mann saying we were already doing that. You were already doing that, but you didn't have a military force with NASA. NASA's not a military force. They were working with the Air Force with that. But now, when he's talking about expanding and getting the United States to Mars and even a military base on the moon. You can find these things even closer now. Uh, you know, I don't know about military base on the moon, but uh, there are movies have always talked about it. If you saw the last movie, Brad Pitt was in Ad Astra, which means to the stars. They had they had a rocket ship and military base on the moon in that movie, uh, where Tommy Lee Jones's character was Brad Pitt's father in the film. But it's an interesting film. Y'all should take a look at it. But very interesting, I think, telling of what we have today.
yeah, yeah, just like I said, Gavin. So I just want to say one thing about the. So what is the? I mean, outside of I know the people probably sad about the football game day, but
Yeah, outside, how's New Orleans been?
yeah.
New Orleans has been fine. I mean, we've gone back down to a phase one, which is essentially we're back at right now with the social distancing platform. It's a modified phase one. Uh, there are still curfews in effect. I know, like in Slidell, they put a curfew. Slidell is north of New Orleans, here about 20 minutes. They put a curfew in effect for like 6 p.m. So people can't be out. I don't think even during those times, or they have to be inside, if I'm not mistaken. And New Orleans overall, I mean, nobody's really doing anything. The Mardi Gras is going to be different. It's called Yardi Gras now because everybody's going to be doing stuff from their yards. There's no floats or parades that are going to be. Festivals have been postponed again. So it's definitely looking like it's going to be different. It might be like this for a while, man.
Well, I do know that Mardi Gras had some. I know somebody that said they were coming to New Orleans this in a couple of weeks, so we'll see what happens. But what you say? You gonna do a show on American Skin tonight too?
I think I'm gonna do a review of it. I want to see what I probably will do tonight. If I don't do the review of the movie tonight, I will do it tomorrow after I see One Night in Miami. I've heard rave reviews about it, but I also hear some complaints. I don't know if you've seen any of those two movies yet. Have you, Bernard?
Now I'm gonna look at American Skin when I get a chance.
American Skin. I'm not gonna give it away to you, uh, but I think things. I'm not gonna give it away. I'm not gonna keep silent. I'm trying to support. I put it like this: I'm trying to support Nate Parker because I think he's trying to do a good job, and it has its pluses, but there's some stuff I didn't like in it, and maybe one or two things. But I, I recommend people still try to support him. And when you're in Hollywood, he's trying to get back into Hollywood graces because when he did The Birth of a Nation, they sabotaged his film over those rape accusations from 20 years ago that he was acquitted on. Same thing with, and of course he's got Spike Lee that's produced this, so it's interesting how it turns out. But certainly, I'm going to take a look at American Skin, and I'm sorry, One Night in Miami to see what all the hoopla is about. But I'm hearing people, excuse me, I don't mean to yawn on you, brother, but I'm hearing people complain about that. So I want to tune in and make my judgment first. Watch it first before I make any judgment because you don't like going just off somebody's word. You like to see it first and see what they're talking about
Oh
before you
yeah,
make it. Yeah.
yeah. Well, I understand what you're saying, brother. That's really I check it out. But like I said, everybody be patient because a lot of things about to change. Shout out to Derek Bailey and um,
Yeah.
James Ramon's computer robots and Dr. Carmen Johnson. If she's listening, she might be, could be, I don't know.
I'll reach out to her this week. I might text her. Now she's in DC, huh? She
Yeah,
might be
so
good. She might be good to have come on Wednesday because I like to know uh, how are things with regards to the inauguration and how's DC now or it's on lockdown. I've tried to reach out to Dr. Short. Hadn't heard from him, but I know he is in DC.
yep. Well, I mean, like I said, I'm right here in Virginia. I mean, Doc Short, me, Kulik is right out the way. A lot of stuff going on, man. But we just gonna have to, buckle up, get your big boy pants on, get ammo and food, water. I would not be on the wrong side of the track right now. I will say that much. Oh, by the way, let me tell you something about Don Lemon. By the way, Anderson King made a good point about him. She made it on Instagram. She said that Don Lemon said that the white man is the biggest terrorist on the planet. That's fine, but it's kind of a contradiction. You know where I'm going, right?
Because he lays down with a white boy, a white man.
That's right. So that's kind of contradictory that he would even say
Now
that.
lemonade.
But yeah, Don Lemon, Anderson Cooper, and Cuomo, the tag team partners. United States has been working with the United States.
Yeah, he kind of argued with me over that Space Force thing about why it was created and so forth. You can go
Oh,
look at. All I'm gonna tell you is you can go look at the. You can go look at the declaration that Trump signed why Space Force was created.
okay.
And
Well, Gavin,
I'm gonna leave it at. I'm not gonna argue with him back. I'm not gonna argue back and forth, but I'll leave it at that.
well, I will say this, brother. It's always great to come on your show. You know, peace up to the family in New Orleans, in neighboring Texas and everyone else. I want you to be safe and do your thing, man. Hey man, tomorrow I don't know if the range is open, but if I get an opportunity, it's always good to go take a few shots, man. Yeah.
Yeah, most definitely on Mondays. Some of them may be open.
And don't
Yeah,
one more thing. I gotta bring this up. Martin Luther King Day, they say tomorrow, and I always tell you which king are you celebrating. I celebrate the one after 1963, the one in 1966, 1967, 68. Not that civil rights king. I celebrate the other one. We said I have integrated my people into a burning house. That's the one I celebrate, not the one that they talk about because they done whitewashed that and made the legacy. Basically, it's a joke because it's all for everybody else. They call it the civil rights movement, the Black Lives Matter movement. You see, they always take something and make it their own. So it is
yeah.
what it is. But
Well, Dr. King certainly has been watered down uh, to a certain degree, and of course they've tried to the type of they certainly watered him down, and of course they try to push the Dr. King's "I Have a Dream" and "I Have a Dream," and most of the times they don't talk about his other speeches as well, like the "I've Been to the Mountaintop," which is the last one he did when he appeared at the Masons Temple back on April 3rd, 1968, and it was actually raining that day, and he wasn't supposed to be speaking, but the people wanted him. And around 1967, 68, Dr. King's, if you listen to his speeches, he was becoming more and more militant in what he was saying. He started to talk exactly like Malcolm with some of that. And of course, you know, it sadly, we saw what the end result of it was.
Yeah, yeah. So I just want to say, people just always, if they come talking about King, say I like the one 1967, 1968, not the civil rights stuff, because that's just I call it the civil rights con game. Matter of fact, I probably do a show on it called civil rights con game. But Gavin, yeah, you take your time, brother. I'm sorry the Saints lost, but it is what it is, brother.
It's all
So
good.
take your
It's all
time.
good. All right, man.
You too.
All right, take care and safe. Be blessed. Thank y'all for tuning in. Check out. I know I said I would do it today, but check out the review I'll do tomorrow on American Skin and One Night in Miami. I'm gonna try and do both of those at the same time. All right. You guys be safe. Be blessed. I'll holla. Peace.